Well, the next floor I would like to give to the head of real economy sector and deputy director of macroeconomical analysis, Vladimir Salnikov. He is a well-known specialist in real sector problems, especially the industry. So, Vladimir, please give us your opinion about this particular topic, and I will be thankful to you for that. Hello, dear colleagues. You know, I'm a specialist in the industry, but I'm not so deep in this climatic agenda. Nevertheless, if we'll try to reflect about this topic while, I think that the approach that is being applied by the industry is not a right one. I'm risking to sound too naive, but we as scientists, we have to extend our frames as wide as possible and the set of topics which are being discussed by us. And I think in the climatic agenda, we never hear seriously this topic that we have to calculate consumption and not production. We have to calculate emissions as the effect of consumption and not production. To my point of view, that would be more just. In this sense, we all understand that, of course, maybe some sincerely believe that we are fighting against global heat, global warming, but in this agenda, we see a lot of direct competition and not really honest competition, when behind the beautiful statements, we see very, very money-related motives. And we have to fight against something like this. We have to speak about this because it's understandable that it's very difficult to do because all the key players, I mean, global players, they are not interested in looking at the problem from this point of view. But we users from inter-industrial balance that was mentioned today, it's that particular tool which allows us to look at how the consumption and in which countries this demand gives these pollutions, because it's an interesting story. Because in the beginning, okay, let's see, some countries are specializing on the production of energy intensive products, and they sell them to other countries, to the markets of other countries. And then suddenly we have a story that, no, guys, now you have to pay us for being specialized in this. Why? I'm not speaking about the scale effect, when it's not a secret to anybody that consumption of electrical energy by households in the United States is much more than all energy consumption of Russian industry. Just for the sake of it, there is a certain phenomenon which is very interesting, not just to think about, but just to understand it, at least a little bit. And in this sense, if we truly are doing such global things, we want to globally reduce the emissions, of course, the prioritization should be given in those directions where the maximum effect with minimum costs should be applied and achieved. So this type of analysis, I don't know how would it be done, but if it was done, why today we're not speaking about it? Why aren't we speaking about these results of those calculations? Well, this is my first reaction to your statements. If you want me, I will add something else. Well, I would like to reflect to what Vladimir just said, because the topics of calculation of emissions from the demand and consumption, these are questions that were in the framework of the Paris Agreement, and we had a previous project before, the Semfors project, in the framework which we are meeting today. It was called Carbon Cap. And back then, we've been evaluating the input and possible effects from calculations of emissions that we have in our country, the demand, including the value-added chains, in New Economical Association magazine, there was an article by Mr. Kolpakov. These assessments were done, and they are done by other big experts, and they are done by a number of big projects. So, dear Vladimir, can I share these calculations with you? But honestly speaking, we are saying that in the framework of the current agenda, this version of calculation from the consumption, it becomes secondary. So all these agenda items, they are being formed in the framework of the direct effects. And if we will look at the transborder regulations of the EU, there are several different options. And the EU in itself does apply that option, which is called Corpus 1. And it is connected to taking in consideration direct emissions, because as soon as we go to the indirect emissions related with consumption, it significantly complicates the story. We can apply the concepts like costs and emission, etc. But nevertheless, this is on the level of one small country, this can be done, but on the level of global economy, it's non-realistic. And this is the main problem here. Even though maybe we will come to this, but as Ivan Zhutkih was showing us and our KPMG colleagues, they've been calculating different options, considering effects with all the actions taken.